What is up, everybody? It is By the Rumor, episode 16. Already made it to 16 episodes. Can you believe that it's just me? I'm sorry. It's just me. Christine, I don't know if you remember from the last episode, last time. She two things have happened. One thing is she's off in Alaska. Okay, I don't know what she ice fishing. She doing anything fun like that? I don't know. Y'all should ask her. But the other reason you should probably send her just some condolences is she had a little kitty cat that was just 1 year old pass away while she was gone, and she feels awful. And it's tough to get the wheels back on. So because of that, not necessarily because she's in Alaska, though that has something to do with that. It's just going to be me today. I'm sorry if you got excited, if you saw the pretty blonde in the intro and you thought, yes, this is going to be a good show. No, it's just myself, the voice here. So here's how this works. We talk about technology, crypto, blockchain, and pop culture, and how all that just kind of mixes together in one pot on this show. A lot of times Christine will take over the pop culture part of it, and I will kind of take on the technology part of it. So this will probably be a little more blockchain, crypto heavy than normal. I do keep up with pop culture a bit, but not as much as Christine does. But here's what you can do to help. Is if you can share out this room, get some more people in here. I do have the chat open, so if you say something, then I'll be able to read it while we're talking over these topics over here to the left, which I'll talk about that here in a moment. And always pick, if I have a NFT related shirt or something, I'll wear it today. Have the move that out of the way. I've got my Whoopsies shirt on. The Whoopsies, they have leadership that they've kind of put Mr. Boston in control of the entire NFT project, and then they have a game that they're working on releasing in collaboration with some other notable projects as well. So yeah, check out the Whoopsies if you haven't. And I don't know if they're joking around or not, but just because of the name Whoopsie, it sounds like you screwed up, you messed up. They've talked about having a children's book about, hey, we all have little whoopsies every now and then, and sometimes those result in children. But this is a children's book, which is a completely different topic. All right, on the left right here, here's how we do on By the Rumor. On the left right here, you can see all the topics that are, maybe top of mind this week. And normally Christine and I will talk about these for about 3 minutes apiece. This time it will just be me talking about it for 3 minutes apiece. Then after that, we'll go over some birthdays, and then I want to talk about blockchain innovation. Is blockchain innovation just completely over, or is it not happening anymore? I'm going to go over some projects that I talked with Grok about a little bit, about what's actually a good project in blockchain that's innovative. Where were they a few years ago, and where are they now? And I'll be honest, a little spoiler, I was a little disappointed with some of the results. And it makes me wonder if blockchain innovation has stalled because adoption didn't happen as much. Well, I will get to that there at the end. So now, me in my Whoopsie shirt, let's get this party started. Let's go right here. Let's go with Bitcoin erosion. We'll start with that with our 3-minute timer. Bitcoin treasury companies may face some capital erosion. So you may be familiar with Stream, or not Stream, Strategy. I don't know why I said Stream, I guess because we're streaming, right? With Strategy. Strategy started out as MicroStrategy, and they were a software company. And they eventually started buying, Michael Saylor kind of pivoted and just went into Bitcoin. And it started being kind of a store of value. People would invest, and he would put that money into Bitcoin and buy more Bitcoin. And it worked out pretty well for them because on the whole, Bitcoin tends to go up. And even when it was going down, Saylor was still buying. Well, that's worked out really well so far. But now other companies are starting to do the same thing. Okay, I saw GameStop talk about filling up their treasury with Bitcoin. And you're seeing that happen elsewhere as well. And as long as it does like it did with Strategy, that will be a fine way to do things, right? You put in your reserves, some of your reserves into Bitcoin, and then the stock price can go up because people see that the asset that you're holding is going up. But Are we concerned at all? And I think we probably should be, because if you've been in crypto long enough, you know that eventually the other shoe can drop. Okay, we've seen it go to about 69,000 to, gosh, what was it? 13, 14,000, and then now back up to over 100. So on the whole, strategy's done great. But if some of these other companies start doing the same thing and we see that level of drop, let's say we go to 150 and then it goes back down to 90, something like that. If that happens, can these other companies handle it as well as Strategy did? Strategy, formerly MicroStrategy, had consistent new investors coming in, probably still have new investors. Saylor is so good at speaking and getting people to believe in what he's doing. So because of that, it hasn't been an issue, but it could be an issue in the future. By the way, Christine is here. Just an aside from Michael Saylor. Christine is here in the chat. I can see that she reposted the stream, so she is here to speak. So if you want to speak in the chat, there she'll be. She can answer your biggest questions. If you want to send her some condolences, you should do that. You absolutely should do that. But anyway, as far as investing, if you're looking into investing into a company that has Bitcoin on reserves, then you just may want to be careful with that. That's all. Is that financial advice? I don't think it is. Be careful, because should Bitcoin not go up and eventually have a big fall down, like we know it can have, then this could be bad. For Strategy, they seem to be well funded with Saylor behind them, but something to keep in mind for sure. All right, next, the confidence dip. Let me take away that. No one needs to hear my little dings and everything. All right, the U.S. consumer confidence unexpectedly declines. And this is weird. This gets into perception versus reality. Now, tariffs were, whenever Donald Trump came into office and said, I'm going to increase tariffs quite a bit, I would say consumer confidence started getting shaky. We started seeing some signs of that. But then it was, this country has got to deal with us, and this country has a new trade deal with us. And China, it always seems we're kind of kicking the can down the road with China. Well, as we look into just buyer consumer confidence, we expected it to slowly go up because the tariffs haven't been, overall, have not hit every industry as hard as we thought it might. But confidence is confidence, right? Whatever's behind it, the U.S. consumer confidence did decline unexpectedly. One of the things is the labor market, okay? This is not just a jobs report, right, where people will say, this is how many jobs are available and this is how many jobs are filled. No, this is people feeling, this gets into just like your gut feeling, that the jobs are plentiful and the jobs are out there for you to get, and there's good jobs available. Well, some people are now putting it from plentiful to hard to get a good job. So is that reality, or is that just people's perception? Who am I to say whether it's reality or perception? But you should keep this in mind, as this has something to do with the markets. If you're looking into investing and consumer confidence is slipping, should that be the case where jobs are tougher to get all of a sudden, maybe it's AI related, right? Maybe people are now a little bit worried about being replaced with AI, which valid, right? I did think about it. I wasn't able to code it, but I did think, should I try to code real quick an AI Christine, where I could just talk with Christine? That'd be a little more difficult than I'm ready to take on, at least with short notice, but that'd be fun. Anyway, AI probably is taking some jobs and is making the labor market go a bit lower because of that, or at least that's people's perception. So yeah, consumer confidence is slipping, and this could affect the dollar and could affect your investments. And if you're in crypto, it can affect crypto as well, because now that all the institutions, we always wanted the institutional money to come into our little crypto world. Well, it did now, and now world events seem to really have a lot to do with the price of crypto, or with Bitcoin just in general, which a lot of the other coins, if you're into meme coins, if you're into anything that's not Bitcoin, it all follows Bitcoin. Bitcoin goes up, it seems to help out the whole market all in all. All right, market reaction. The stock and oil prices are reacting to a potential ceasefire. Uh, what a week this has been with Iran and Iraq, and then the U.S. kind of inserting themselves and putting on a little bombing run that happened in Iran to go after their nuclear sites. How crazy we've had. How about this for just modern day warfare? A lot of this is fought verbally over X, right? Over the very platform that you're watching from right now, where, the Iran military will put out things like, oh, you will be sorry if you stand in the way of us, that sort of thing. Well, over the last 24 hours, Trump comes out and says, hey, we got a ceasefire. You can, henceforth, you can call this war the 12-day war, right? Just the 12-day war. I'm gonna read what Christine has here in a second because I want to read that. But anyway, the 12-day war. And so he said it's over. A ceasefire has been agreed upon to be able to have, and everything will be good. Well, this morning I wake up and it's like, well, is there a ceasefire? Let me say this. When I read the ceasefire, Trump's message that he put out, he said something along the lines of, they're going to ceasefire after a good 12 hours. And I was like, what is that even supposed to mean? That they've got ammo still in the chamber and they want to go ahead and unload that? Why can't they just stop fighting now? This isn't the Civil War where we have to wait for the messages to get to all the troops, because we've got the internet, we've got streaming, we've got all this stuff. So I didn't really understand why we needed to wait 12 hours before the end of the quote unquote 12-day war. And maybe Iran and Iraq didn't either. So this is going to change by the minute. Next week, whenever Christine and I are back on here, I'm sure the situation with Iran and Iraq and the U.S. will have changed even again. And then Trump this morning gave kind of a funny quote saying they have no idea. You can read the exact quote, but it says they had no idea what they're doing in so many words. So kind of weird to have a world power leader say that other countries have no idea what they're doing. But hey, a ceasefire was at least announced. Maybe it was just announced by the U.S., but nonetheless, a ceasefire was announced, and it looks like Iran and Iraq may possibly be firing rounds after that. All right, next we'll talk about crypto payments. One thing I want to say with Christine, and she's in the chat, by the way. Y'all should join in. Say hi to her. But she put in the ticker for MicroStrategy. It's still MSTR, even though they just go by strategy now. But she said on the cruise that she's on, there are robot bartenders in there. And she said, yeah, all the jobs shall be taken, right? Because now even good, nice bartenders. I have a question, Christine, since you're on there. Are you having to tip the bartenders? Is it at least cheaper for you? Because they don't feel sad or happy because they do or don't get a tip. I'm hoping you're not having to tip the robot bartenders. Also, Christine says she thought it was weird as well that the ceasefire law allows so many hours of continuous missions for 6 hours. That's just really weird to me, because what if you... Oh, she didn't have to tip. It's nice. What if there was like some huge bombing run that one of the two sides did and, had mass casualties, and then the other one would be like, oh, ceasefire. I know we just had, thousands of casualties on your side, but remember, ceasefire. We agreed. Pinky promise. So that was really weird, and now it appears that they may still be going on. All right, next up. Now I see, Christine, it's not just you. I talk into the next topic as well. Crypto payments. Major companies are signaling interest in tokenized payment. It says significant interest in tokenized payments has been signaled by Coinbase, Amazon, Walmart as the U.S. passes the Stablecoin Act. Can you guys remember in crypto years ago, okay, where people would say, like, can you imagine a world where we go to McDonald's to pay for our Big Mac in Bitcoin, or go to Walmart and pay for that in crypto? Well, it does appear that we may be headed there, especially with the Stablecoin Act. Now, maybe it'll have to be paid in stablecoin, but I am telling you, if the transaction fees are cheaper for a stablecoin, Then for credit card payments, absolutely, you'll see some of these big companies jump all over that. They want to be able to save money wherever they can. And at a big scale like Walmart or Amazon, yeah, that could be pretty big. Now, you can already do this. I've mentioned them before, Zipto, Z-Y-P-T-O. Excuse me. You can already do that where you can pay almost anything with even meme coins through them. But I'm sure for Walmart and the like, they want you paying with Bitcoin, or I don't know about Ethereum. But transaction fees are always going to hold something like that back. But this is being discussed. This is being discussed where major companies are showing interest in these tokenized payments. And I can see no reason why it might not happen. All right, the next one I want to talk about has to do with Gen Z. I don't know if y'all can see in the upper, I think I'm pointing to it right there, in the upper left right here. It's got all these pictures on there, and I guess that's supposed to be a Gen Z kid. But apparently buy now, pay later loans are a big thing. Christine, you have some Gen Zs in the household. Are they big into buy now, pay later? I guess I know this from like when you go somewhere and you can get, you know, a phone or a laptop, and you can get it and then you kind of finance it, but it's not financed through a credit card or through a major credit company. Well, here is the deal with that, of why this is going to be done. That stuff is going to start hitting the credit report, because up till now, it hasn't hit the credit report for buy now, pay later. Okay, so if you find somebody that's way behind on something, it's been just kind of a black hole where it doesn't necessarily hit the credit report. Well, now it's going to, or at least it's being discussed. It says it'll soon affect credit scores. And it says the biggest users of buy now, pay later are Gen Z. I didn't realize that. I guess I'm not that surprised. I thought it was an older generation that maybe used, I don't know. And anytime I ever see like, oh, you can get your laptop now and finance it through the store, I always thought that was kind of an older person thing, but maybe not. It obviously isn't, at least through this article. It says it's Gen Z that does most of that. My own personal, and I am not Gen Z, I am Gen old man. My personal thought is usually whenever I want to get a big purchase, is this financial advice? I don't know. I try to get the money first before I buy it, except for, you know, cars or a house or something like that. Pretty much try to get the money first. I would suggest to do that. Now, for the last story, if you've got a nice stockpile of crypto, maybe you could start paying with crypto. But through what we've got here, oh, this is interesting. A lot of clients use buy now, pay later for tattoos and concert tickets, is what Christine says. That's interesting because now she's able, haven't tried it myself, but I do accept it at the studio. That's interesting. So Christine does take buy now, pay later. And it seems like we've talked about this before, actually. So I don't know why I didn't think of that immediately. She does accept that. Now, obviously, for her being a tattoo artist, it's good to be able to get the money right then. So obviously, she's going to take that. I'm telling you, Christine, from that last story, you're going to take crypto sooner rather than later, whether you are ready to or not. And I know you are ready to. But anyway, very, very interesting that you can do this. And it affects Gen Z the most. Christine, maybe you can answer this. Do you feel like the younger generation uses buy now, pay later more than the older generation? I don't know. I'm not in a consumer-facing area to know well enough, but very interesting. Yeah, Christine says she'd much rather take crypto. Me too. Get that appreciating asset that might go up. But probably she wouldn't take just any crypto, right? I bet you want to be, I'll bet you would want it to be like Bitcoin or Solana or Ethereum, something that you think might go up. You don't want the latest dog token of the day, something like that. All right, last one right here, which is crypto mortgage. I thought this was interesting. It says the new head of the U.S. housing regulator, okay, the new head of U.S. housing, the regulator, which is a crypto investor, is studying the possibility of using digital coins for home loans, stirring up concerns reminiscent of the 2008 financial crisis. This is fascinating to me. And as a crypto guy, I'm behind this, but I can see the trepidation. Just like we were talking about the latest dog coin with Christine taking. What? Now, okay, so right now, whenever you want to go buy a home, right, you're saying, I have this much in the bank, I have this much in my 401k, this is how much my current home is worth. You get your net worth from that. But crypto is not considered for that. So if you've got a big stack of Bitcoin, you've got 10 Bitcoins sitting in that Ledger wallet of yours, that's not counted. But the US housing regulator is considering crypto to say like, oh, they're not as poor as they look to be in their bank. They're actually pretty good for the loan because they have a stack of Bitcoin. But how deep are we going to go with that? Are we going to say they've got a big stack of Fartcoin, right? Poor Fartcoin just takes it in the pants all the time because it's just such a ridiculous name, or maybe a coin all in all. But yeah, if you've got a big fat stack, you are a millionaire in Fartcoin, which there are Fartcoin millionaires. As of right now, they can't show that they hold their wealth in Fartcoin, at least for buying a house. But the U.S. housing regulator is considering doing this. Now, I think crypto is money, right? Bitcoin is money at the least. Okay. And my guess is as they do this, they're not going to make it where Fartcoin can be used for this. They're going to list a few coins. Bitcoin will be one of them. It may be the only one, and maybe that's the only one it should be. But in the future, when you want to get a home, you might be able to use your crypto assets. Okay. Christine says she doesn't want any meme coins. She's not going to be taking any meme coins. And then Alexander says he's shook by the robot bartenders. Other question, Christine, for the robot bartenders, do they mix a drink well? Is that are they good at it? Are they better than me as an introvert? Okay, maybe this gets into the mock because I don't drink, so maybe this is the mocktail conversation we had last week. As an introvert, I like the idea of a robot bartender because they don't really speak to me, or if I'm like awkward, they don't detect that. They'll just let that happen. Anyway, that's why I think a robot bartender would be better than a human bartender. And you're not tipping them. Anyway, maybe I'm just being cheap, and I'm sure that is the case. All right, that is it for the stories we have on here. By the way, if there's ever a story that happens during the week and you're like, oh, I want Voice and Christine to talk about that this next Tuesday, just either drop us a DM or just make a post about it, and we'll see it, and that'll let us know what to add to here. Yeah, I'll be able to do that. Oh, and Christine says they'd make perfect, consistent drinks. No underpours, no overpours, and no tips. This should be like part of their commercial. Welcome to Ultra Bartending. No underpours, no overpours, and no tips. See, I do the commercial voice for that. All right, with that, let's talk some birthdays. All right. Before I got on here, I had to move all my windows around so that it would be just me and not a split screen with me and Christine. So, yes, let's talk about who's having a birthday today. Normally, I say the information about the person, and then Christine guesses who it is. But today, I'm just going to tell them to you. We've got Randy Jackson. He is 69. Nice. He's an American bassist, singer, producer, entrepreneur, and television personality. He is known best for his 13-year tenure as a judge on American Idol. That's going to be a yes from me, dog. Happy birthday, Randy Jackson. Selma Blair. She is turning 53 today, an American actress who gained prominence for roles in Cruel Intentions and Legally Blonde. She portrayed Liz Sherman in the Hellboy film series. Gosh, she's 53. I definitely remember her in Cruel Intentions and in Legally Blonde. 53, born in 1972. Next one is an American. Here, I'll tell you what. I'll say it much like I say to Christine normally, and then you guys can guess. Next one is an American singer-songwriter known for the hit songs "I'm Yours" and "I Won't Give Up." He's won 2 Grammy Awards and received 2 additional nominations Born in 1977, age 48, it's Jason Mraz. Hope I'm saying that right, because I'm old. Anyway, I know who he is. Maybe you realize that I've never spoken his name out loud before. And then last I will mention on here, well, maybe I'll mention two more. American celebrity chef, author, and travel documentarian. There's a big hint. Starred in programs focusing on exploration of international culture, cuisine, and human condition. Anthony Bourdain would be 69 today, but I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Anthony Bourdain is no longer with us. Maybe last year passed away. I need to filter out my birthdays a little on here, so it's not always. Sometimes I get somebody that's passed away, and I think this is one of the ones. Then the last one I have here is an American filmmaker known for creating television series like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Angel, and Firefly. He also directed 2 Avengers films in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's Joss Whedon. 1964 is 61 today. So happy birthday to all that are having a happy birthday today. Oh, I see Alexander says there are no human jobs left. There's still a few left, just not many. And they'll be taken by AI soon enough. All right, with that, let's move on to the next segment, voice lessons.
Voice lessons, you'll hear it loud and clear. Tech and crypto wisdom, the truth is here. Big thoughts, bold moves, cutting through the haze. When the voice speaks up, you'll be amazed. So listen up.
All right, let me turn this down a little bit. I actually got the lower third in there this time. Christine wasn't distracting me. I was able to get it right this time. All right, is blockchain innovation dead? If anybody's listened to me for some time, whether it be through the book club, through Golden Hour, through whatever that I've talked about over the years, I have always beat my chest, okay, about what's going to happen with blockchain tech and how it's going to revolutionize and so much innovation is going to come with it. So now let me walk that back a little bit, or I'll give you some data and you tell me whether it needs to be walked back a little bit. So blockchain tech, we've always thought it's going to be so many different things we can do. We can keep track of things. It's a digital ledger that doesn't need a third party. And I still believe all that. Now I do. But I went to Grok and I said, summarize for me some blockchain projects that are truly trying to do something off the beaten path. It gave me a list of them. I hadn't heard of most of them. And I said, and it mentioned a lot of them as whenever they started, okay, like the year that they began. And then I said, okay, now tell me, what are they doing today? Are they defunct? Are they still stumbling along? What are they doing today? So just to give you an idea, I wanted to see what blockchain innovation is still happening. It's not all just NFTs. It's not all just tokenization of assets, real world assets or anything like that. There are other things. So let me give you a few of the projects that it said. And first I'm going to tell you what they do, what they did. If you've heard of these, let me know in the chat. But I'm going to tell you what they did, and then I'll tell you where they are. So the first one is Chronicle. It's a blockchain-based time capsule protocol for locking messages, predictions, or digital artifacts in smart contracts to unlock decades or centuries later, preserving history or personal legacies. For example, a user tokenized a family recipe as an NFT to unlock in the year 2123. It sounds really cool, actually. Everybody, I say everybody, you've probably heard of a time capsule where you bury something in the ground and it's got artifacts from that day. Well, now you could do the same thing with with history, recipes, music, your own thoughts, whatever. You could tokenize that and make it to where it doesn't unlock until sometime in the future. So that was Chronicle. The next one is called Ghost Chain. Okay, Ghost Chain. It's a project by paranormal enthusiasts to fund and verify supernatural investigations via the blockchain. Okay, users staked tokens to vote on haunted sites and they had findings like their EVP recordings. I think that's anyway, those little pulses that only come from ghosts. And they stored all that data on chain. So that was Ghost Chain. Now I'm going to tell you where some of these projects are here in a bit. Next one was Kleros. That's a decentralized arbitration platform for resolving disputes via smart contracts. It was used in 2024, just last year, to tokenize a divorce settlement, splitting assets like crypto and NFTs trustlessly. This actually sounds very interesting to me. A lot of times you need mediators through lawyers. Well, this is a way you could do that through the blockchain. And all these sound very innovative. They really, really do. And I'll get to where they are here in a second. Next comes PetChain. It's a blockchain registry for pet pedigrees, purebred dogs and cats. If you've got, sorry, I just stumbled because I realized I shouldn't have mentioned pets today for Christine. But nonetheless, this is on there. It says breeders minted NFTs tied to the DNA in lineage to prevent fraud to show animal sales. There was a resolved $10,000 dog sale dispute in 2022 that they tried to resolve it through PetChain. That's very innovative, very interesting way to use blockchain. I've got just a few more here. Liberland, a libertarian micronation on disputed land between Croatia and Serbia. So there's some disputed land between Croatia and Serbia. And using blockchain to fund citizenship and governance. Features a blockchain-based voting system for token holders. Okay, so that's Liberland, libertarian micronation. Next is FoundChain, a blockchain-based lost and found system where users can register lost items that they've lost on a hash, and then finders can claim rewards for a smart contract. So you can say, oh, I lost, my laptop bag at the airport. You can then put that out there on FoundChain, and then you could put a reward for it, say it's very valuable to you, very personal to you. And if somebody finds it, gives it back to you, they could get a reward, and this is all done on chain, okay? Two more, Dream Ledger, an experimental art project to tokenize dreams or memories as NFTs, preserving intangible experiences on chain. For example, an artist sold a tokenized nightmare for 0.1 ETH in 2022. That's crazy to me. Does anybody have a dream? Love to hear that from you, Christine. Do you have? I've never asked about dreams that you've had. Have you ever had anything that would that you'd feel like you could tokenize, right? To make it even lucrative to you. All right, and the last one is BeeChain, a Brazilian initiative to track honey production and combat fraud in beekeeping. Beekeepers recorded hive data, like the yield, pesticide exposure, on blockchain for traceability, and they boosted exports by 20% in one cooperative that they worked with. So I read all those from Grok that found me all those, and I'll be honest, most of those I think are pretty interesting, pretty fun things to do, to be able to use blockchain. Did they work? Ugh. I regret to inform you, Chronicle, blockchain-based time capsule, defunct, fizzled out in 2024 due to high Ethereum gas fees. Ghost Chain, project for paranormal enthusiasts, collapsed in 2023 after the developers just disappeared. Kleros, arbitration platform, tokenized divorce. It is active. We did it. We did it, everybody. We pulled it off. Kleros remains operational with ongoing development in decentralized justice. Recent updates include integrations with Ethereum-based DeFi protocols and governance experiments. Though it remains niche, no major mainstream adoption reported in 2025. But it stayed. It's still kicking. And so, way to go, Kleros. Way to be the one on this site or on this list that can not be defunct. Christine, I see you say defunct. I just don't know which one you're talking about. But no, Kleros is still not defunct. How about PetChain? PetChain was a registry for pet pedigrees. It saw limited adoption and no significant updates since 2022. That's too bad. That's too bad. I wanted that one to work out. It says the project appears inactive with no active website or community engagement found in 2025. Liberland, this is the micronation of disputed land between Croatia and Serbia. It is active. Way to go, libertarians. It says Liberland continues its experimental governance with LLD token trading on small exchanges. Recent posts on X mention ongoing citizenship applications, but physical development of the micronation remains stalled due to geopolitical issues. I'm sure Croatia and Serbia probably want a little something to say about that. Found chain, okay, lost and found system, defunct. Man, stalled after 2023 pilot due to low user adoption. No active development or updates found in 2025, and the project appears abandoned. That's because most of the things that we lose like around the house, right? I can't lose my keys in the cushions of my couch, and then I'm not going to go on chain with that data. Doesn't really make any sense. So I'm not really surprised on that one, but I like the idea. But all of these, and I really mean this, all of these projects, you have to have like adoption and like major adoption for these to really work. And already a lot of these are niche, right? Already you're talking, these are some niche communities, and now you need niche communities that are all interested in blockchain and crypto. I don't know, man. I don't think we're there yet. Dream Ledger. We think that one made it. We think that one's defunct. It is. Dream Ledger was a conceptual project with minimal traction, no updates or active community since 2022, suggesting it's no longer operational. And then lastly, B-Chain. I think this was a good idea, but it says it has unclear status. There's no major updates since 2023. The project may still be active locally in Brazil, but lack of global coverage or online presence in 2025 suggests limited growth or potential dormancy. That's it, guys. That's the ones I had. Is blockchain innovation dead, or is just nobody really... Are we really interested in the tech behind blockchain? Or are we interested in getting rich through Bitcoin? And I'm worried it's the latter. And don't get me wrong, I want to get rich. I want to get a meme coin that makes me a bazillionaire. I really do. But this is really cool, the things that we can do on blockchain. We can do all of these things I just mentioned that are now defunct. We can keep anything on a ledger, whether it's the immunization status of dogs, or whether it's voting, or whether it's ticketing, NFT tickets for music and concerts. All of those are possible through blockchain. But man, it doesn't matter if Joe Blow doesn't believe in it. So everything that I've said years ago about blockchain is going to change the world, I still believe it on some level, and I still think it has the technology to change the world. However, if people don't use this stuff, it doesn't matter, okay? I could be a cook in the kitchen and create the greatest meal anybody has ever seen. But if nobody comes and eats it, did I really make the greatest meal anybody has ever seen? No, probably not. Probably not. Or at least nobody will. I won't be able to brag to anybody about it, which is kind of sad. And by the way, no, I will not be creating a meal that's the best anybody has ever seen. Something I wish I had the ability to do. But yeah, if anybody else has any other blockchain projects that are or aren't with us anymore, I'd love to hear about them. Give me your weirdest one you've heard about. The ones in here that I thought were interesting, I thought Dream Ledger was interesting, not because I think it could be a successful project, but somebody actually did tokenize a nightmare. I thought that was kind of crazy. Liberland is interesting. And then the disputes via smart contracts, like a divorce settlement. That sounds very interesting, that you could do that as just using smart contracts. I found that pretty interesting, that you could be able to pull that off on there. But yeah, innovation is still happening. That's not to say, I think a lot of people at one point has said, oh, are you switching to AI only now? Or is all the crypto influencers moving to AI? No, that's not the case. I mention crypto almost every time, or blockchain I do mention it every episode. There's not an episode that goes by that I don't mention crypto or blockchain. However, the adoption rate of blockchain tech just in general has not progressed like I hoped it would. People still want to make money off of crypto. That's what tells me people have been here for since the early days of crypto. Is just, I don't know about the early days, but in the last 5, 6, 7 years, I feel like people are there merely to see their wallets get fatter and not necessarily for the tech behind it. And these innovative projects kind of show that is the case for sure. All right, that is it. That's all I have for voice lessons. Now, normally at this point, I would, or before this, we would have kicked it to Christine, who would have had an absolute fire segment. If you are new to here and you normally aren't listening to these, I normally have a co-host with me, okay? She sits right here. She's in a split screen, normally right here to my left. Someday, if she's not here, I'll see if I can get a avatar of her that just answers me in real time. That would be cool. But yes, join us again whenever we have her with me, because we have a lot of good back and forth discussion. Share out this room. Now, always at the end, I always look at how many minutes were listened to the show live, and I'm going to do the same thing this week as well. Without Christine here, it'll probably go down just a bit, but she's going to be back next week, so make sure you either listen to the previous episodes in replay, kind of see what we're all about, and then you can catch us live next Tuesday at the exact same time. By the way, one NFT project that's still around, I'll still show it, is the Whoopsies. If I wear a shirt on here, I guess I might as well say something about them. Good luck to them as they're putting together still a blockchain project, right? Except this will be a off-chain game that they're working on that has on-chain characters inside it. Okay, so it's off-chain in the game, but you can actually own some of the characters that are in the game on-chain. And they're working on that really well. It's one of the few projects that have been around from a few years ago that didn't absolutely moon, but is still stuck around and is trying to make everything they've ever said and more happen. So shout out to Boston Beer Guy who's putting that together. Shout out to all of the team that's trying to put together the Whoopsies. I've always stuck with the Whoopsies because of they stick around, and that it really doesn't take much to make me diamond hand something. If you just stick around, then I'll usually hold on to it and not sell something. So, all right, that is it for this week. Love you all. We will see you. That is Christine and I will see you next week. She's off in Alaska. Send her some condolences, okay? Her poor little kitty cat passed away as she left, and she wasn't there whenever that happened. And it's an awful feeling. I had something similar happen to me with a dog a couple of Thanksgivings ago, and it is just an awful feeling. So send Christine some condolences for her little kitty cat. It's a sad situation for sure, but she will be back next Tuesday, as will I. And then we will start this party all over again. Until then, you can enjoy this outro with both Christine and I. Till then, peace.
Chasing the thrill of the digital hive. Starting tech in a renegade code. This is the path where the bold explode. Behind the charts, the story unfolds. Fortunes are built in the data it holds. From crypto skies to entertainment streams, pushing the edge, chasing dreams unseen. By the roar, the story unfolds. Fortunes are built in the data it holds. From crypto skies to entertainment streams, pushing the edge, chasing dreams unseen. By the rumor where the silence screams, in a world of risks and electric dreams. Take on the future, take the ride. Sharp minds up on the darker side. Sharp minds up on the darker side. Charts don't lie, but the faces do. Watch the market sway like it's destined you. The gossip's currency is hard to ignore. Behind locked doors lies so much more.